Jim Carrey once dominated screens by being the loudest, rubber-faced whirlwind in any room. If comedy were a competitive sport, he'd have taken home Olympic gold while doing cartwheels and yelling, "Alrighty then." But behind the slapstick and megawatt smile lies a complicated, fascinating man whose journey through Hollywood was less of a red carpet and more of a psychological roller coaster with a few derailed loops. Once upon a Hollywood time, Carrey was the guy, commanding box offices, red carpets, and our collective funny bones. But at the height of his fame, something shifted. He didn't vanish physically, but spiritually. The man who made millions laugh began questioning the very machine that had launched him into superstardom. The shocking part, the machine wouldn't let him go. And maybe, deep down, he couldn't walk away either. So how did Jim Carrey go from Ace Ventura to existential philosopher/accidental performance artist? Buckle up, because this story is anything but predictable. Born to be wild and broke. Jim Carrey wasn't born in a Hollywood mansion or even a quiet Canadian suburb. He was born in Newmarket, Ontario, into a family that struggled to stay afloat financially and emotionally. His father, Percy Carrey, was a saxophonist who gave up his dreams of leading a jazz orchestra to become brace yourself an accountant. To Jim, that decision became a warning sign. Chasing stability can lead to bitterness and regret. He watched Percy trade passion for paychecks, only to still lose his job and eventually move the family into a van. His mother was chronically ill and heavily medicated, and young Jim tried everything: gags, impressions, manic energy to make her smile. Comedy wasn't just a hobby, it was a coping mechanism, and at times, a last-ditch therapy session. By his teen years, Carrey was working as a janitor to help support the family. But even while cleaning toilets, he held on to one truth. If you're going to fail, fail doing something you love. The alternative, failing at something you hate, just sounds like cruel irony. Visualizing a dream and writing a $10 million check. After honing his stand-up skills in Toronto's clubs, Jim moved to Los Angeles in the early 80s. And like many dreamers before him, he was broke, unknown, and armed with delusions of grandeur. Except he wasn't just daydreaming, he was manifesting. Jim would drive into the Hollywood Hills, park his car, and visualize directors begging to work with him. In an audacious move of cosmic faith, he even wrote himself a check for $10 million, labeled "for acting services rendered," and stuck it in his wallet. It worked. His big break came in the early 90s with In Living Color, a sketch show where Jim stood out like a hyperactive jack-in-the-box among a cast of comedy greats. And then came the 1994 trifecta: Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. Box office gold, pure Carrey chaos, and yes, he was eventually paid exactly $10 million for one of those films. That check? He buried it with his father, who never got to see the whole dream come true, but was with him every step of the way. Comedy King meets existential crisis. You'd think being a mega celebrity would be enough to coast through life on yachts and ego. But Jim Carrey is not that kind of star. Fame, it turns out, freaked him out. He once joked on Letterman about his salary, saying he wouldn't rehearse for less than $9 million. Classic Jim, deflecting discomfort with a punchline. But behind that grin, something was brewing. By the late 90s, Carrey was bored with playing zany weirdos in Hawaiian shirts. He began choosing roles that were more introspective, and in some cases, eerily autobiographical. The Truman Show, Jim's cry for help. In 1998, Carrey starred in The Truman Show, a film about a man who discovers his entire life is a reality TV program. While Truman desperately tries to escape his artificial world, Jim was facing a similar existential realization. Fame was a trap, and he was its smiling prisoner. The parallels are almost too on the nose. Truman's life is controlled, manipulated, observed. Jim's life? Pretty much the same, only the cameras were real, and the audience demanded constant laughter. Suddenly, Carrey wasn't just an actor. He was a philosophical weirdo with a camera crew and a deep disdain for the fame he'd worked so hard to earn. Method acting or full-on possession? Next came Man on the Moon, 1999, where Carrey played eccentric comedian Andy Kaufman. It wasn't just a performance, it was a possession. According to Jim, Andy took over. He stayed in character off-camera, started drinking, smoking, and even picked fights with co-stars including WWE wrestler Jerry Lawler. He drove on set blindfolded in character. The studio was terrified. The footage? Too bizarre to release for 18 years. The behind-the-scenes documentary Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond, reveals a man spiraling into a psychological abyss. Carrey seemed to lose himself entirely, and what came out on the other side was, well, still Jim, but also someone else. He'd undergone a kind of ego death. And if Hollywood thrives on ego, how do you survive without one? Hollywood's favorite contrarian. Post-Moon, things got weirder. Carrey didn't disappear, but he changed. He began mocking the industry in plain sight. At the Golden Globes, he joked about being a 2-time winner and dreaming of becoming a 3-time winner, because then he'd be enough. Then came the infamous 2017 Fashion Week interview, where he basically wandered in to roast the event. When asked why he was there, he deadpanned, "I wanted to find the most meaningless thing I could attend." Oof. He wasn't acting anymore. He was pushing buttons and holding up a mirror to celebrity culture and daring it to blink. Artist, recluse, and Sonic? In 2018, Jim seemed done with it all. He said he no longer cared about being in the business and wanted to focus on painting and living a quieter life. His Showtime series. Kidding felt like a poetic swan song playing a Mr. Rogers type who's breaking down behind the scenes. But retirement doesn't stick with Jim Carrey. Soon he popped back up as Doctor, Robotnik in Sonic the Hedgehog, and then again in the sequel. Asked if he was returning for money, he joked, "I bought a lot of stuff." He's since listed his LA mansion 5 times, dropping the price each time like it's a Black Friday sale. The man wants to leave, but maybe he can't. Maybe Hollywood is the ex he keeps texting, "I'm done with you," while secretly missing the drama. A man trapped by his own dream. Jim Carrey is both Hollywood's misfit and its golden child. He's earned the right to do whatever he wants, but the thing he wants most is apparently not to be famous anymore. Yet fame, like glitter, never fully washes off. He's not addicted to money or even attention. What seems most addictive is freedom, the ability to make art, break rules, test limits, and still be forgiven. Hollywood gave him that freedom, and now it's the velvet handcuffs he can't unlock. In trying to destroy the system, he became one of its greatest assets. The final act? Jim Carrey once said, "You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love." That mindset catapulted him from a janitor in Ontario to one of the most iconic actors of his generation. But what no one tells you is, chasing your dream may come with emotional baggage, a few midlife crises, and a public meltdown or two. Is Carrey done with Hollywood? Probably not. He said he's power resting, which is either a joke or the most glamorous way of saying napping with purpose. He may come back as the Grinch. He may come back as something entirely new. Or maybe, just maybe, one day he'll vanish again, this time for good. But let's face it, Hollywood never truly lets go of its stars. And Jim Carrey? He's too bright, too weird, and too fascinating to fade into the background, even if he's trying really, really hard to. And that's the wild, weird, wonderful journey of Jim Carrey, from comedy king to cosmic truth seeker and everything in between. If you enjoyed diving into the madness and magic of Jim Carrey's life, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.